I might lose my farm because of the government.
This farmer right here is about to lose his farms because of what this new government is doing. Stick around.
I need your help to save my farm and many other farms. I wanted to give you guys an update on what we figured out with our contract through NRCS. So to give you some backstory, if you haven't watched the previous video, please go out, watch that previous video I've got on there. We are possibly going to lose our farm if NRCS doesn't hold up their contract with us on the EQIP program. So the reason that they're not able to hold up the contract is our EQIP program, which is cost sharing on fences, waters, a well, and some seedings, was funded by the Inflation Reduction Act. Because of the executive orders, there's a pause or a freeze on the funding through the Inflation Reduction Act, and they're not able to pay out on the stuff that we completed or anything going forward. But the issue I have is I've already done a bunch of the work, already paid for the material, already paid for the labor, so I'm out all that cost, and I use my farm operating expenses in order to do those projects, because per contract, I knew that I was going to get cost sharing refunds on the stuff once completed, but now that it's completed, they're saying that they're unable to provide the funds because of the freeze on the Inflation Reduction Act funds. So I reached out to a couple different senators and Congress people. So I reached out to Ann Wagner's office. I have not heard back from them. I reached out to Josh Hawley's office. I have heard back from him, not from him personally, but from his office. And they are looking into it because they said that this should not be happening. The intention was not to take away the funding from the farmers, but doing the Inflation Reduction Act, cutting those costs, then it's also taken away from the programs that those programs helped out. So it's in the works, but what I need from you guys is if you could please share this, tag your representatives, tag your senators. I need to get some ground on this because I'm not the only one this is affecting. So there are other farmers in the comments saying that they're in the same boat that I'm in because they signed these contracts, and the contracts, even like, so whenever I looked into the contract, I made sure that that funding was set aside. It wasn't funding that, oh, we hope it's there whenever it's done. I made sure that that funding was set aside so that way before I made these business decisions, I knew that funding was there per contract. So they're backing out on the contract because they don't have the funding. They can't release the funds. So please tag the representatives, please tag the senators. I need to get some ground on this. We need to help me and other farmers out. We've got to get this funding paid out. I don't care if they don't do it in the future. The problem is there was contracts in place, multiple farms made business decisions, and multiple farms are going to sink if we don't get traction on this and get those funds unfrozen.
By now, I guess most of you guys have heard about the case of this farmer. He is a cattle farmer from western Missouri, has been making videos on TikTok where he's saying that he is about to lose his farms because the government has frozen the funds that were supposed to be helping him to run his farm. Actually, the way the case of this guy is, in the previous government, the government of Mr. Joe Biden, there was this program that was known as Inflation Reduction Act, and that program was meant to help farmers to fight against inflation. They were providing them with funds that was helping them to run their farms in this inflation. Now, in this new government, this government of Donald Trump, they have decided to freeze this money. They are no longer giving them this money. And many of them are struggling because they can no longer run their farms. And the funny thing is, the way this thing was written in Project 2025, those who have read Project 2025, you know that whatever this government is doing was written in that Project 2025. And this farmer has actually voted for Donald Trump. And many people are bombarding his comment section, telling him you have F around and now you are finding out. So we're gonna be watching other videos of creators who have stitched them to reply to this farmer, and then we come back and give our commentaries. So guys, make sure you like the video, drop down your opinions. What do you think about the case of this farmer? And those viewers who have not yet subscribed, make sure you smash on that subscribe button.
I might lose my farm because of the government. I got in bed with the government.
And why is that? Come on, go further now. Why is that? Go watch this video, then go read about Project 2025, which we told you guys to do. Everything that's happening to him right now was in Project 2025. Go watch his full video. Gutting USAID is going to kill farmers. It was right there. It was right there.
Donald Trump specifically said he was going to go after low-hanging fruit. You just didn't think you were low-hanging fruit. And it turns out you are. And now you have entered into a contract with the government where you agreed to do a bunch of work and they were going to reimburse you for it to improve your farmland for future generations. The Inflation Reduction Act gave you that opportunity, and you took it. I would have too. And now the man who's known for going back on contracts and refusing to pay for work that's already been done is doing that to you, the man you voted for. So you were fine when he was talking about removing the civil rights of women and trans people, trampling on the freedoms of immigrants. You were fine with that because it wasn't going to affect you. And you didn't believe that they were going to implement Project 2025. In fact, maybe you didn't read it, because pages 294 through 310 talked specifically about how they were going to you. Either you didn't believe it, you didn't take the time to read it, or you just thought everybody that was complaining about Trump and his plans and his policies were just being crybabies? Or maybe you thought those people deserved what was going to happen to them. I don't know. But now it's happening to you. And so I would think that right now is a good time for you to admit that you were wrong and maybe apologize, because there are a lot of people that are going to be hurt by the things that you voted for and cheered on, and now you're one of them. And I'm sorry. I'm actually sorry that's happening to you. I don't wish it on you. But I do hope that you have the courage to say I was wrong and this guy's a piece of shit. Imagine the type of coalition we could build if people had the courage to admit they were wrong and join hands with the people who were scared originally. We might be able to do something about this.
Video of this young farmer saying that he's at risk of losing his farm because he was taking part in a federal program that was assisting him in making some much needed improvements on his farm so that hopefully he could turn a bigger profit. But because presidential executive orders that have been signed have frozen the funds to those federal programs, he could lose his farm. And listen, I've seen the comments, the stitches, the duets, people telling him, FAFO, you voted for this. And if you'll allow me, I want to come at this from a different perspective. First of all, I'm not a Republican and I'm not a Democrat. I've been a registered independent voter for the last 4 elections. That being said, yes, I did vote for Kamala Harris. And if this is where you stop listening, have a great rest of your day. Secondly, I don't watch mainstream or legacy media. All of the media I choose to consume is from outside of the US, primarily Al Jazeera and NPR.
Please guys, remember to like that video. Please remember to like that video and tell me what you think down there in the comment section.
All that being said, that's the problem with using just a few issues to choose our elected officials, because that person running and their whole campaign team just wants you to believe that they are the best and the other side is the worst, that they want you to have the best world and the best life and the other side doesn't want you to have anything, and that these programs that are trying to help people are draining taxpayer dollars. They're making the American people lazy so that they can suck off the teat of American taxpayers. When the truth is, that's not even close to what it is. A lot of the programs, not all and not none, but a lot of the programs that people are trying to put in place are to try and help make Americans stronger themselves so that they're more self-reliant. But the problem is, most people are just going to listen to what that politician says and not think the 3 to 4 steps ahead to think, if this, then that. If they get rid of this, then what else goes with it? And that's where we all lose, because most people don't realize these bills are written in such a way that they intertwine programs. And if you undo one, you undo them all. Unfortunately, this is going to keep happening until people can stop and say, what else is this going to affect? And am I okay with that happening?
Since the election, everyone has reminded me that I thought Kamala Harris was going to win. Everyone has reminded me that she didn't win and Donald Trump won. I've seen it over and over and over again. But what I also said was, if Donald Trump did win, it would be a disaster for farmers and oil workers. Because last time Donald Trump was president, it was a disaster for farmers and oil workers. Now, he really hasn't gotten to oil workers yet. But hey, farmers, how you doing? Yeah, you see, the last time Donald Trump was president, over 100,000 farms went belly up in America. So here he runs for president again, and what do you farmers do? Yeah, you vote for him again. And I don't understand why, but it's one of those cases where you effed around and now you're going to find out again. Because apparently he didn't do enough damage the first time. You wanted to see it a second time. So here we are.
Right after the election, I made a video where I said to all Trump supporters, when his policies get enacted and it lands on your front doorstep and starts to actually affect you as well, when you start to complain, I'm going to get in your face and say, fuck, you voted for Trump. And guess what? I still feel that way. But here's the thing. I am not here to tap dance on your grave. I'm not here for an I told you so dance. I am not here like a lot of the people in the comments who I believe have a right to say what they're saying when they say, and find out, or you voted for Trump, or this was literally in Project 2025, and we told you this literal exact farm initiative was in direct threat from President Trump. And you didn't listen. All those people have a right to say that. I'm not here to say what they're saying. I'm here to say something different, something constructive, something that might actually make an impact, and that is join us. We are not the fucking enemy like your man told you we were. We are your neighbors. We are your friends, your family. We are the people that you make this country up with, and we are all trying to protect all of us. We are not trying to win so our guy wins. We were trying to get somebody elected who we thought was going to fight for all of us. And I think you did too, even though we tried telling you how bad the choice was that you made and you didn't listen. But now that you see it, now that it has landed in your lap and it's not just somebody else seeing it, can you now finally turn around and say, I get it. I fucked up. I made this choice for all of us, and it was a bad decision. What can I do to help fix it? Because if you're at this moment now, and you still are only thinking about yourself and how you can fix it for your family, and not realizing that what you are experiencing is a microcosm of families all over this country, and for families who have already been removed from this country, if you can't realize this is bigger than you, and while you do need to fight to save the family farm, you need to join with the people who are still fighting to save this country. If this isn't your moment to realize that you need to link arms with people like me who you got told were the enemy, link arms with us and realize we are actually your family. We are your brothers. We are your neighbors. We are your friends. We are fellow Americans, and we are fighting a common enemy that seems poised to do nothing but harm to the vast majority of us. If you can't link arms with us now, you don't deserve any of the empathy that could come your way from people like me who don't really want to tell you I told you so. We just really want you to finally listen, to finally admit that we were right about this, if for only because it means you might help us fix it. Otherwise, this is for nothing. Otherwise, this is for nothing. You could use this for good. You could join with us. You could talk to your representatives. You could talk to the people in Congress. You could be out loud and proud and going, I voted for him and it was a mistake. And I want to act however I can act to try and fix it. And if you're like me and you're a fellow Trump supporter who realizes now this was a mistake, join with me to fix this. That's what we want. We want help. We want help fixing this thing that has now affected even you.
Alright, we've got another case of Fafo season. And this time it's a farmer from western Missouri who is upset because the government funding for farmers is drying up. And now, if you are wondering why that is happening, let me remind you. This guy voted for Donald Trump, and Donald Trump has been against Inflation Reduction Act since the start. And now, since the funding is being stopped, this farmer is complaining and the internet is letting him have it, telling him exactly what he needs to hear. You effed around and now you are finding out. But this is not just about one man crying over the lost money. This is about the bigger trends of people voting against their own interest and then act shocked when it backfires. We saw this with Alabama voters who were complaining about the rise of energy cost. We also saw this with Cuban MAGA voters who are now complaining about deportation. And now we are seeing it with farmers. So let us break it down. Now, let us talk about Inflation Reduction Act. This was a huge bill that was signed to help farmers to fight against climate change, improve their land, and keep their businesses running. The money was there, farmers were benefiting, but Trump and Republicans wanted to stop it. And guess what? They succeeded. This Missouri farmer is realizing that the fund he relied on is gone. And he's looking for someone to blame. But let's be real. Who did he think was going to protect that funds? Trump and Republicans have been talking about cutting government spending for years. They have always wanted to take money away from their programs that help everyday people. But somehow people still believe that they are on their side. And now here we are, another Trump supporters finally realizing that the man they supported is not actually looking out for them. And this is not the first time Trump has done farmers dirty. Remember his trade war with China back in 2018. Trump decided to start a fight with China, which led to China cutting down the US farm imports. And that left American farmers struggling. What did Trump do at that time? Instead of fixing the problem, he handed out a bailout that taxpayers paid for. And even then, most of the money went to the big corporations and wealthy landowners, not to the small farmers who actually needed help. So to any farmer who voted for Donald Trump thinking that he had their back, where have you been? He has never cared about farmers. Just like he doesn't care about workers, veterans, or anyone else who is not making him money. Here is what always surprised me about these situations. These are the same people who likes to talk about personal responsibility. They will tell poor people to stop relying on government or pull yourself up by your own bootstraps. But when it's their turn to struggle, suddenly they want the government to help. So let us be clear. This is not some unfair punishment. This is exactly what happens when you vote against the policies that can help you. You don't get to act when the benefits disappear. If you supported Trump and his party while they work to cut farm subsidies, then you are part of the reason you are struggling right now. And let's be honest, if this was a black person or a Latino immigrant struggling about losing government aid, these same people will be telling them to stop depending on government handouts. But now that it's happening to them suddenly, it's a big crisis. This is the pattern you all. Republicans sell their voters a dream. They tell them we are fighting for the real America, but then turn around and cut the very programs that keep the same people afloat. We have seen it over and over again. Whether it is healthcare infrastructure or farm subsidies that gets hit the hardest. And yet, these same voters keep coming back, supporting politicians who do nothing for them except making their life harder. Just look at what Donald Trump is doing right now. He is shutting down energy grants, stopping climate funding, and taking away money from the very communities that supported him during the election. And yet people are still out there acting surprised when the consequences hit them directly. At the same point, you have to ask, will they ever learn from their mistakes? So let us wrap this up. This Missouri farmer is the latest example of what happens when you vote for politicians who don't have your best interest at their heart. He thought that Trump was looking out for him, and now he is realizing that was a lie. And the internet is letting him know that this is the Fafo season and he will definitely find out. But here is the bigger question. Will people like him actually change the way they vote? Or they will just blame Biden, the government, or some other made-up enemy, while continuing to vote for the same people who are screwing them over? Let me know what you all think down there in the comment section. And before I get out of this video, please do me a favor and subscribe and click on that like button. Also share my videos to your friends. Make sure you click on that notification bell icon so that whenever I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Ciao.